expressed that, well, first of all, many of your council members have really gone to try and persuade the Speaker of Council to change her mind, but she says that her word is the last. What's your response to that with regards to this?
Yeah, well, I think that the council is governed by rules and orders. Council is governed by rules and orders and Structures Act. And the Speaker, that's why there was no pandemonium. When the Speaker explained, we could actually understand what she was saying, because when you place a motion, there are certain requirements that you need to actually adhere to. And one of those is that if ever you put an ordinary motion like this, you must wait for 15 days. You would know that both parties placed this motion last week already. So there's no 15 days, which means that the motions that we have been put, it's an urgent motion of no confidence. So there are two motions. And for us, it doesn't matter which motion was going to succeed, right? The first motion was put, but it does not substantiate on the agency. It was supposed to substantiate on why are you putting this agency. Now there's a rider there because it says that you must put that thing in writing. So we will not be able to stand up in council and argue differently from what the rules are saying, because these rules and orders have been adopted by us. So the motion that succeeds is a motion that has been filled by the ANC, because not only did we put a motion of no confidence, but we also substantiated on the agency of this motion.
Something that the EFF had failed to do, according to the Speaker. But you do admit, though, Leseho, that with the EFF saying they are not going back to chambers, is quite a blow for the ANC.
It's not a blow. When the ANC went out and exposed the rot and the corruption which is happening in Tshwane, when the ANC stood up and took the executive to account on what is happening in Tshwane in terms of the hiring of bouncers, the hiring of unqualified, unskilled Afrikaners into senior posts and all sorts of things, we are not doing it with the mind that we'll have other people supporting us. We did it because we wanted the backing of the people of Tshwane. On their own, they assembled in a night vigil. On their own, thousands of people slept at Beggars Park. On their own, they are still seated outside. So that we are emboldened actually as the African National Congress. And this gives us more courage and more determination to keep on fighting for the service delivery, for things to happen in the correct way, because that's what the electorate was promised in 2016. So it's not a blow to us. So that's why we are saying we are sticking to our guns. We placed an urgent motion of no confidence. We followed all the prescripts, and we are going to stick to those guns. Whether we are defeated or whether miraculously we win, but we stick to that. And if Msimanga is still there by tomorrow when we wake up, we'll file another motion of no confidence. In our discussions and deliberations with other parties that purported to be supporting the motion, and I must put it clear, these parties were not saying we support each other's political parties. The parties were saying we support the motion. So now the Speaker says the motion of the ANC succeeds and the motion of the other party does not succeed on the basis of some technicality. Then you walk out. What were you supporting? A motion or some funny thing? And that's the question that we are posing.
Well, I'm glad you raised that. And just quickly, Leseho, do you believe that there was a deal that was struck between the D and the EFF following what we've just seen now?
I doubt. I think the two parties, I don't speak on their behalf, and I think that they're more than capable to be able to explain what happened. And I don't think even ourselves, when we entered here with other political parties, there was no deal that we even struck with them. It was deliberations. We anxiously engaged each other in the process that was supposed to result in resolving challenges that are faced by our ordinary people.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Leseho, for your time. That was, of course, Leseho Makubela-Thulas, who is a councillor here in Tshwane, obviously representing the ANC, expressing his views following what we've seen transpire in the chambers behind me. More importantly, what we did see were quite numerous things, but the first thing we saw was, of course, the council welcoming the nomination of the regional chairperson of the ANC, Khosi Mayepa, who is now now a council member. And of course, we saw the EFF walk out after their motion of no confidence against Solly Msimanga was disallowed due to a technicality where the speaker said that they could not express themselves, and they did not express themselves as they should have when they did lodge this motion. So after the break, after lunch, we are expecting to hear more about the ANC's motion that has been brought forward against Solly Msimanga. Well, as things stand now, to us, it seems like Solly Msimanga has won up over the EFF, who have vowed not to come back to council and vote with the ANC, rather that they are going to meet the speaker in court. Over to you.
Yeah, Lirandzu, two things stand out for me there. One is, of course, that issue that you raise about the EFF walkout, out of the council chambers, and their reaction is very different from the reaction of the ANC. The EFF rejects the grounds on which their motion of no confidence has been dismissed by the speaker. The ANC, on the other hand, Lirandzu Makubela, they sort of acknowledging that, some of the procedures were not followed to the latter, and giving reasons why that didn't happen. But secondly, what Lirandzu Makubela had to say about what he says, other parties that, quote unquote, purportedly supported the motion of no confidence, and questioning why the EFF then walked out if they supported the motion of no confidence in Solly Msimanga.
Exactly. And, Lisewa also saying in the earlier interview that we had, saying that, he could be convinced that there could have been some sort of backdoor dealings that happened here, because we know that without the EFF being in council today, it simply means that the ANC has its own members to rely on. But Lisewa indicating that they remain very confident with that. However, the EFF says that, according to them, their motion was thorough. It was filed on the 26th of August, saying that there was enough time really to convince the speaker. But of course, we know that a Councillor Williams stood up saying that this motion does not meet the criteria, does not meet the standards of the House, and it cannot be allowed. And of course, the speaker going through the rules, saying that they should have convinced the House, and they didn't, in writing, that is. And that is the reason why she has decided to disallow this. But of course, the speaker is going to be hearing the ANC's motion of no confidence against Msimanga. And according to Lirandzu Makubela, he seems convinced that their motion meets the minimum and maximum standards. So only time will tell if that is the case, and we are going to be keeping a close eye on this situation when we go back into session.
So then just a final one then, Lirandzu, it then becomes relevant whether or not the 25 EFF MPs are in the House when the ANC's motion is discussed and deliberated after the lunch break. Any indication from the EFF councillors if they will return after lunch and perhaps take part in any voting that may result from the ANC motion of no confidence?
Tulas, they were the first councillors to walk out when the speaker made the announcement that their motion will not be entertained. And I did ask the leader of the caucus of the EFF if they will be going back after lunch, and he made it quite clear to me and other journalists gathered here, saying that they will not be going back, saying that because their motion has been disallowed, there's no point in them being in council and entertaining, I quote, funny things. So it seems to me and quite evident that the EFF caucus will not be going back into chambers today, saying that they're going to go back to the drawing board and they're going to be redrafting the motion of no confidence. But they are clear about one thing, saying that the reasons why they want Msimanga out still stand, despite the fact that their motion of no confidence has been disallowed today, saying that they're going to go back to the drawing board, they're going to craft another one, and hopefully this time it'll meet up with all the rules and expectations and all the criteria that are expected from this chamber behind me.
All right, Lirandzu Themba, we'll leave you to it for now. We'll be catching up with you a bit later on for an update. That's